It's time for another episode of The Adventures of William Ruby, Private Detective, brought to you by Sugar Twinkles Cereal. Sugar Twinkles. They're made with sugar for energy and a fairy dusting of 8 vitamins and minerals to make it twinkly healthy. Grown-ups and kids alike love Sugar Twinkles. Make it part of your breakfast.
Well, hello there. Ruby here. I'm usually a pretty busy guy, as being a detective is anything but a regular day job. I don't have a lot of time for entertainment. The last movie I saw, I think, was All About Eve. I can't remember the last time I went to a play or a concert. I do listen to the radio, though. I have a set at home and another one in the office. I like all of the shows, but I especially love the detective shows, even though they get so much wrong. I yell at the radio when a story is really off, and more than once I've wished I could have gone down to the radio station and tell them how it's really done. I finally got my wish, in a case at the same time. It was March, the longest March and longest month of my life. Frankie, Francis O'Shea, the O'Shea of Ruby and O'Shea, and the owner of my heart, was out of the country caring for her mother and wasn't coming back anytime soon. I'd had one good case, but that was pretty much the only one. My brother, Lieutenant George Ruby of LAPD's Homicide Division, was spending most of his off-duty time caring for his pregnant wife, so I couldn't bug him. And my sister, Harry, had been hired for another movie. She's a stunt woman. I was lonely and bored. Bad combination. Then one night at Sadie's, my favorite restaurant and kind of a second home, I received a very interesting invitation.
How about puzzles, Will? I've always enjoyed a good jigsaw, or maybe build a ship in a bottle. That'll keep you busy and keep you from thinking about Francis.
No, I don't have the patience for either one, Davey.
You said you haven't been to the movies in forever. Why don't you go see a picture? There's a decent Western playing across the street.
I thought about it, Sadie, but it's a romantic Western. That's all I need.
Well, I gotta go back to the hack. I'll look around while I'm out there, see if there's a good drama or maybe a detective picture playing somewhere. See you guys later. Oh, excuse me, miss.
I appreciate you guys trying to help Sadie, really. I'll snap out of it eventually.
I know you appreciate us, hon. As for snapping out of it, you will when you're willing to. Stay busy. That's the best cure. I still say that was a great idea your sister-in-law had, writing up your cases as stories. I've seen parts of your adventures firsthand, and I'd love to read the whole story for them. Oh, hello there, miss. What can I get you?
Hi. This Aloha burger sounds delicious. I think I'll have that and a cola. Thanks.
You got it. Back in a flash.
You're a regular here, I can tell.
Oh? How?
The conversation you were having was very casual. The kind you have with a friend, not a waitress.
Sadie isn't a waitress. She's the owner. But you were close. Nice powers of observation. Are you a private detective?
No. But I could be with all the research I've done. I'm one of the duo that writes the Case Files of Eddie James radio show. Ever listen to it?
Sure. I listen all the time. You must be Roberta Maxwell.
I am indeed.
Oh, I've always wanted to meet you and your partner. The show is good, but some of the plots you come up with drive me crazy because they're so far from what actually happens.
Oh, you're an expert, I take it.
Here you go, miss. Enjoy. He is an expert, just so you know. He's Will Ruby, the best private detective in town.
You don't say! So you're the famous Will Ruby. I've seen your name attached to quite a few big cases.
That's me. Well, Will Ruby anyway. I don't know about the famous part.
Don't sell yourself short. Every mystery writer I know knows who you are. I should have known the minute I saw you. It's not just the name. There's a strong family resemblance between you and your brother. I met the lieutenant once. I tried to get an interview with him so I could get the accuracy you say the show lacks, but he refused.
George is... George. He's a great guy, don't get me wrong. He just takes his job very seriously.
Which is good for all of us citizens of Los Angeles. You, wouldn't happen to be interested in giving me a few pointers, would you?
Happy to, especially if it improves one of my favorite shows. Why didn't you contact me when George turned you down?
I can't tell you. It's too silly.
I might not think so. Try me.
Okay. I didn't try to contact you because your reputation intimidated me. I thought you'd be too big to bother with nobody like me.
Me? Big? That's silly, all right. Look, I'm just a human who happens to be good at his job, Miss Maxwell. Ask me anything.
Roberta, please. Are you on a case right now?
No, unfortunately. Sadie here has been trying to come up with things for me to do until one pops up. That's what we were talking about.
Why don't you come to the studio tomorrow, then? I'd love to put a set of questions together before I ask them. And I think my partner should be in on this.
Huh. Go to a place that makes some of my favorite shows and talk about the thing I love to do? Oh, okay, you talked me into it.
The city's best detective, and he's funny. Mr. Ruby, I think this may be the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
It's, Will. And I think you might be right. Was meeting Roberta that night luck, fate, some of both? I don't know. What I do know is that I had a lump in my throat when I walked into the big golden front doors of TMQ Radio the next afternoon. Luckily, Roberta was waiting for me at the reception desk. Otherwise, that lump may have suffocated me. That is one intimidating place. The big guards didn't bother me. It was the stream of my favorite actors and musicians going through.
Welcome to TMQ, Will. You look a little starstruck. I would have thought you'd have crossed paths with celebrities by now.
Yeah, movie stars, sure. I don't go to the movies much, so they don't impress me. Radio stars, on the other hand, I just heard Captain Thunder talking to someone. Captain Thunder!
And he probably shattered your illusions, because Bill Henriksen, the actor who plays Captain Thunder, is 5'4" and about 250 pounds.
I was afraid to look because of something like that. Is he really?
He really is. Sorry. Know that he's a really nice guy, though. I can't say that about all of them. Let's go to my office. No one will disappoint you there. At least, no actor.
How long have you been a scriptwriter?
A long time. I started in my hometown, Fresno, writing for the local station before I was even out of high school. I got my job here while I was a senior at UCLA. I went to school for journalism. I keep thinking one day I'll get to write the news and use that degree. But writing dramas is fun, and it pays well, so I don't think about it too hard. Uh-oh. Sounds like we got here at an interesting, if not normal, moment.
Right or wrong. A 5'4" woman could not strangle a 6-foot man standing on the ground. She couldn't do it from a chair either. She wouldn't have the leverage.
A normal woman, maybe, but your character is anything but normal.
She's right.
See?
And she's wrong. You're right about the woman not being able to do it standing. You're also right she couldn't do it on a chair. She wouldn't have the leverage or the handspan, but mostly the reason it isn't a good scenario is because women, for the most part, aren't physical killers. They poison or shoot.
Ooh, I don't know who you are, but you sure are smart. I didn't think about that part. Lorraine Spangler. I'm the voice of Eddie James's Girl Friday, Susie Beck, as well as a million other characters on 500,000 shows.
I knew that voice. Will Ruby.
That name rings a bell. I know. You're the judge on Public Defender.
Nope, I'm not an actor or a writer. I'm a private detective.
You mean a real one? Jeepers! How nifty is that?
Could be very nifty. He's here to consult for us. Now get out of here and leave us to it.
For that, I'll be happy to. Catch all you lovely people later.
Sorry about that, Mr. Ruby. She's very particular about the details.
Which is why I'm here. Please, just call me Will.
John Logan. Just John for me. Have a seat. Was that really true about women?
It's been my experience, and that's what I've heard from both my brother and other detectives. What else would you like to know?
Tons. I want to know about big crimes like espionage, for instance. I'm dying to do a federal case. Have you ever had to chase down spies? Maybe nab an evil commie?
Did you just say commie, Roberta? We're not turning into an Iron Curtain show, are we?
No, we are not. What do you want, Russ? We're in a meeting.
Today's script, if that's not too much of an inconvenience.
Oh, sorry. Here.
Thank you.
You should get to know our guest, Russ. He's the real-life version of Eddie. Will, this is the one and only Russell Banks, star of Eddie James. Russ, Will Ruby.
The Will Ruby. You, sir, a legendary in the law enforcement community. I would very much like to become acquainted. Your insight would be invaluable to my character.
Sure. Anytime.
After the show. You only have about an hour to prep a lot of dialogue.
I'm off then. I do hope you're serious about leaving communists out of our show, John. I feel strongly that there's no place for them in our show or in our community. I pray you feel the same. Pleasure and a thrill to meet you, Mr. Ruby, until our paths cross again. Au revoir.
That was Eddie James.
That was him. Sorry to burst another bubble. He thinks he's a star because he did one Broadway play and a couple of B movies.
He is not a star. He has to wait for a table at the Derby just like the rest of us working slobs. There. That should get us at least 5 minutes without interruption.
So, So to answer Roberta's question, I haven't chased down any spies. That I know of, anyway. I did capture an escaped gangster once, and I helped to avert an international incident not long ago. I'm not sure if I'd know a communist agent if I fell over one, to be honest.
Most people wouldn't, but they think they're everywhere. The whole Red Scare has gotten out of hand. The lives of too many innocent people are being ruined because of paranoia. All it takes is a phone call, no proof. Just someone say so, and an upstanding American citizen loses his family, friends, and livelihood.
Easy there, partner. Sorry, Will. A friend of John's just got blacklisted, so he's pretty sensitive about the subject.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's hard to see something like that happen to someone.
Thanks. He's innocent, of course, but enough of that. Tell us all about the escaped gangster. That sounds like it could make for a great plot.
Well, it does now, but actually it sounded like a good plot that time, too. My brother George, my partner Frankie, and I were driving back from a police conference in San Francisco when we were almost drowned by a flash flood. Eddie James. Man of mystery. Tough as nails. More charming than a prince of fairy tales. Was in reality a pompous thespian. I should have expected that, but it still broke my heart. His sidekick was a lot more fun. Must be something about sidekicks. Roberta and John were nice enough and really anxious to know everything I know about being a private detective. I got a little of it, though, because they had to break to do the show. The case files of Eddie James is transcribed, which means it's recorded in the studio before it airs. They invited me to sit with them in the booth to watch. I couldn't turn that one down. Maybe I should have.
Okay, people, hush up for a minute. That was one rocky rehearsal. We don't have time for another one, so let's make the recording a good one, please.
Oh, never fear. Bad rehearsal, good performance, as we say on the Great White Way.
Just remember, you're Eddie, I'm Susie. You try to take one more of my lines and I'll bop you.
Yeah, same goes for me. You ain't no dame no matter how hard you try.
I apologize, Millie, Lorraine. I'm just gung-ho about this fabulous script and being able to work with all of you. John, could I see you in the hall for a moment? I have a question.
Ugh, bollocks. This had better be important. You've got 1 minute.
Sheesh, I didn't know the definitions of gung-ho were arrogant and overacting. Hey, Lorraine, do you know who the hunk in the control room is?
That's Will Ruby. He's a real private detective. John and Roberta are using him as a consultant.
Ooh, he could consult for me anytime.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, did you say that guy's a real Seamus?
That's what I said. Bet he knows all about cops, too. So make sure you do your best, Lieutenant Hadley, Phil.
Cut it out in there. You're making Will blush.
Cute, successful, and modest? Oh, dreamy.
I saw him first, hands off.
Actually, my fiancée saw me first. Sorry, girls. Nice to be fought over, though.
Feel free to fight over me, ladies. I'm single.
Thanks, but no thanks. I know why you're single.
All right, back to work. Let's get this over with. CJ, are you ready? Yes, sir. Starting recording now.
The city is a lonely place. I know. I walk its streets. I'm Eddie James. Being a lonely man in that lonely city gives me a chance to see things other people miss. And that makes me
Stop.
detective.
The microphones just went dead.
Oh, ye gads, again? That's the second time in a week. It is unacceptable in a station as successful as TMQ for equipment to be so shoddy. What will go wrong next?
Never ask that question. Everyone stay put while CJ figures out the problem. Oh, swell. Now the lights too? See what you did, Russ? Now really don't move. Whoa.
What is that?
It's one thing, it's not another. Here we go again. Oh, for goodness sakes.
Oh, I
Go.
hate things like
Oh my
this.
god.
What was that?
Did someone fall?
Not me.
Oh, me either.
I haven't moved, just like Roberta said.
Russ? Russ?
Russ.
Oh, what happened?
What's-
to-
Russ.
Come on.
Wasn't he here a
Russ
second
is
ago?
fine.
Russ, are you-
Another way.
Let's go get some
Whoa, whoa, whoa. People, stay absolutely still. I'm coming in. I have a flashlight. Mr. Banks? Mr. Banks? Ugh. That's what I was afraid of.
Oh, there are the lights. Oh, Russ! Oh, he's dead!
Russell Banks sure was dead, coshed in the head with a microphone. John was on the phone to the police before I could even tell him to call, so I was spared that conversation with George. Instead, I ushered everyone into a nearby office and secured the scene. There wasn't a lot to secure, just the body, the murder weapon, a few more microphones, and the scripts and personal effects left behind in the rush to get away from the dead body. Whoever killed Banks made it easy for us in a way, as the list of suspects was so small. Or was it? With the lights out, anyone could have sneaked into the studio. But who'd want to kill him? The answer to that turned out to be a lot more interesting than I expected.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Please continue to be patient and stay in this room a little longer. I'll come back to you as soon as I can. Now, none of you touched him or anything around him, I hope?
No, we have a private detective here today as a consultant. Cutie. He took over.
Yeah, good. Wait, a private detective? Don't tell me who it is. Let me guess.
There you are, George. The deceased is across the hall.
You two know each other?
Only since birth. Well, since my birth. He was here first.
Lieutenant George Ruby, homicide.
I should have guessed. John Logan. I'm one of the writers of the show.
I'm Roberta Maxwell, the other writer.
Millie Johnson.
Phil Ward.
CJ Scott.
I'm Lorraine Spangler. I play sidekicks, in case you need one.
Yeah, I do not. Stay in this room, all of you. I'll be back shortly. Crime scene men with me. You two will. How? No, don't bother. I really don't want to know. Tell me what happened.
I had just started to record when the microphones in here stopped working. CJ, who's the studio engineer, started to try to fix them when the lights went out. The studio door opened, there was a thwack and a thump. Everyone but this guy said they were okay. He didn't answer when asked, so I came in with my flashlight and found him as you see him.
Okay, and who is he?
Russell Banks. He played Eddie James.
That's Eddie James. Oh, no.
Afraid so, and his real voice sounded like he looks.
Well, nothing like having your fantasy shattered. Any idea who did it?
No, unfortunately. With the lights out, it couldn't have been anyone. The only one I can vouch for is Roberta. She was sitting next to me when the lights went out, and well, I'm sure she didn't move. And before you ask, I wasn't here long enough to get to know anyone, so I don't know who would have a motive.
Oh, swell. Who was in the room when it happened?
Lorraine Spangler. She's the one who plays Susie Beck. The guy who plays Lieutenant Hadley, and the girl with the squeaky voice who's probably played every floozy and bad guy's girlfriend on the show. I was in the control room over there with the two writers and CJ.
So it was probably one of the three who were in here.
Not necessarily. The studio door opened when the lights went out, so could have been an outsider. Huh.
What?
I don't know. Something feels off. That's what happened, but I feel like I'm missing something. Something I picked up subconsciously.
Well, hope you figure it out before I get another gray hair.
Another one? You have a gray hair?
Oh, I have quite a few, thanks to you. Did you search the body?
Nope. Didn't want to disturb it before you saw it, as it's face down.
Thank you. Nothing on him but a wallet. He was 36. Looks a lot younger than that.
It's makeup. See the line on his neck?
Oh. Wait, why did he need makeup to do a radio? You know, never mind. I'll never understand these people. Hey, there's a slip of paper with a phone number on it. US 41776. On the back, there's a list of initials. CSJLRMLSMJPW. And under those, some writing in red pencil that I can't make. Oh, can you read it?
One word is red. Yeah, that's all I get. Oh, there's a star shape. Oh, maybe he was reminding himself he needed more Star brand red pencils.
At this point, I'll believe anything. What is it, O'Malley?
No fingerprints on the murder weapon, sir. We did find this, under the microphone stand.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
What is?
A cufflink with the initials JL. John Logan. Maybe Mr. Logan was tired of Mr. Banks being his best character? Or maybe they had a beef.
They did have a bit of a tiff earlier, and it seemed like it was far from the first one.
Well, there we go. His initials are on that scrap of paper, too.
That could be an old Christmas gift list.
Or it could be a list of people he wanted to complain about. He looks the type. Either way, that earlier argument could be a motive. That means we now have motive, means, and method. I think I'll take this Mr. Logan downtown for a little in-depth discussion. With any luck, this will be wrapped up by supper time.
I didn't think it would be that easy. Sure, the circumstantial evidence was pretty strong, but something didn't fit. George doesn't like it when I contradict him, but he likes a case falling apart even less, so he gave me the go-ahead to do some poking around. Harry called later that night as I was trying to decide where I should start poking. She had the next day off and offered her services. I accepted. I needed someone to bounce ideas off of, and she was safer than Roberta for a couple of reasons. We made our first stop, the home of the deceased.
Nice place. Really nice place. This furniture is all Italian. Who did you say this belonged to?
Russell Banks. He was the voice of Eddie James. I heard he was a minor movie actor as well.
Huh. None of that would be enough to afford all of this. Wealthy parents, or was he up to something shady?
That's what we're here to find out. He must have an office or a study. Let's start with that. Uh-oh.
On it.
Harry! They might have a gun, you ninny! Oh, jeez.
Whoever it was jumped out of the window before I could see them, and they were out of sight when I got to the window. They cut their hand on the glass. See the prints on the sill?
Yeah, I see them. I also see a dumb sister. Don't you ever do that again. You can't know if the other guy has a gun, and he has the advantage.
Sorry. I didn't think of that.
You never think. You just do. That's not how it works in my job. Not if you want to live. I will not be responsible for your untimely demise. We found this study anyway. Now, did the intruder get anything?
I don't think so. I don't see anything messed up, and the desk drawers are all closed.
Now, check the bookshelves. I'll go through the desk while I call our brother. He needs to know about this.
Roger Wilco.
Lieutenant Ruby.
Detective Ruby and temporary assistant Ruby.
Oh, good. I was hoping you'd call. I have news. I tried the phone number we found in the victim's pocket.
And?
It goes to a center for reporting suspected communist activity.
Really? That actually makes sense now that I think about it. He was preaching about the dangers of subversive activity yesterday. Didn't expect him to be a snitch, though. If he did report someone, that would be a big fat motive. Speaking of motive, what did you get from John Logan?
Just a lot of insistence that he's innocent. Miss Maxwell's pretty sure he was next to her the whole time. My gut is saying he's innocent, so I let him go about, half an hour ago.
Yeah, you can believe her, as I know where she was. I agree with your gut, especially after what just happened.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Russell Banks had an uninvited guest. We're at his place now.
There was an intruder.
Yeah. Harry chased them out. They must have gotten here just before we did. Doesn't look like anything was taken. It couldn't have been John Logan if you just let him go. And we'll try and figure out if anything was taken while we look for clues. Send a fingerprint guy. The intruder cut his hand on broken glass and left some nice prints. And you might want to send a uniform, too, to keep an eye out.
I absolutely want to do that. I'll have both there within the hour. Wait until they get there, would you? Then come see me.
Yeah, we'll wait for them, but I want to go talk to Roberta after. Maybe do the poking around the studio I was going to do yesterday. I still have the feeling I'm missing something.
Will, take a look at what I found hidden in this book called The Crimson Ghost.
Hang on, George. Not a book, a script, Harry. Must be a movie he worked on. Well, I'll be.
What?
I've got you proof of that big fat motive. Mr. Banks was blackmailing people. There's a letter template here that reads, Dear Blank, I have certain evidence that would prove you are a member of the Communist Party. While I strongly believe that communism should be eradicated, I am willing to pretend that I know nothing about you. For a fee. Put $10,000 in small unmarked bills in a plain envelope and leave the envelope in a phone booth at Robinson's drugstore at exactly 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, then leave immediately. If I see you anywhere near that store after 8, or if the money is not in the phone booth, I will report you to the Un-American Activities Committee. Signed, the Patriotic Avenger.
Patriotic Avenger? What a crock. He was nothing but an opportunist.
He must have been trying this on all the people he worked with, judging from that list of initials.
Must have, which means we haven't narrowed down the list of suspects at all. I hate this case for so many reasons. I'm changing plans. Meet me at the radio station. Now that I know the questions, I want answers now.
Jojo is mad.
George is frustrated. Every time we seem to get ahead in this case, we take 2 steps back. He's mad, too. This is the lowest kind of blackmail we've ever seen. I'm mad about it myself. Murder is never justified in my book, but it's pretty close this time. We need to solve this case fast. It's leaving a bad taste in my mouth.
Glad to see you back, John. Or does that mean you didn't kill Russ?
Of course I didn't kill Russ. I wouldn't kill anyone, no matter what I thought of them.
Yeah, me either. Prison does not sound like a party. So if you didn't kill him and none of the rest of us killed him, who did?
A very good question. Lieutenant Ruby, Mr. Ruby, thank God you two are here. Have you figured out who killed Ross yet?
No, but we've narrowed it down. We know what the motive is. This is our sister Harriet, by the way. She jumped in to help.
Hello. So, what is the motive?
We'll keep that to ourselves for the moment. I want to speak to each of you privately.
Ugh. Will this take long? We still have a show to record. Don't get me wrong, it's awful that Russ was murdered and we mourn his loss. But we have to get it done this morning and we risk losing our sponsor. Show has to air tomorrow.
I hope it doesn't take long, but how are you going to record an episode of the case files of Eddie James without any James?
We'll use a fill-in, and I already have the perfect man in mind. I just need to get him up to speed.
All right, well, if you say so. Miss Johnson, I'll start with you.
You can call me Millie, Lieutenant. Actually, you can call me anything you want. Cutie.
Yeah, just come with me.
So, who did you get to replace Russ, Roberta? I hope it's somebody dreamy like Dick Powell.
Not Dick Powell, but you're close. Will, how are you at reading out loud?
I don't know. Okay, I guess. Whoa, wait. Me? Play Eddie? Are you out of your mind? I'm not an actor.
Not professionally, but I'm sure you've done undercover work. And that's a kind of acting. Think about it. A real detective playing a detective? It's such a great idea. I wish I'd thought of it sooner.
Oh, but...
That is a great idea. Wish I'd thought of it myself.
but I...
Just for this one episode, Will? Please? I've called everywhere looking for a fill-in, and nobody decent is available. You'd really be helping us out.
Oh. But I...
Tell you what. You read a little right now, see how it feels. If it feels okay, and we think it sounds okay, we'll do it. If not, I'll have to beg Bill Hendrickson.
Go on, Willie. You'll be great at it. You've always been a ham.
Okay, I'll try it, but if I hate it, I'm not doing it. Where's the script?
Here you are, Hunk. Ace it, kid. I'd like playing your sidekick.
Come up to the microphone so you can get used to having it in your face.
Yikes. Here goes. The city is a lonely place. I know. I walk its streets. I'm Eddie James. Being a lonely man in that lonely city gives me a chance to see things other people miss. And that makes me a good detective. Walk with me and see for yourself.
Oh, that wasn't bad.
Not bad. It was great.
I agree, Will. It was even better than I hoped.
Really? Well, what do you know?
Lorraine, you're next. Don't keep the cutie pie waiting. So, who's taking over for us?
You're looking at him.
You?
No, the one you're actually looking at. The one with your drool on him.
Oh, wow. You can act too, Mr. Ruby? Is there anything you can't do?
Whistle with crackers in my mouth.
You are such a comedian. A living doll for sure.
Mr. Ruby, would you please speak into the microphone again? I want to set your volume levels.
Oh, sure. Is there anything I should say?
Not in particular. Say anything you want as long as it's your normal volume.
Okay. Geez. I have no idea what to say. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah. That was the part was bugging me. I get it now.
Get what?
The jumble in the paper this morning. There was this one clue that it didn't make sense until just right now.
Oh, I know the one you mean. It was a stinker.
Yeah. Are we done, CJ?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'll be right back, Roberta. I have to go tell George we were fighting about it this morning.
Thank you, Miss Spangler. You're excused. Well, you look like you've seen a ghost.
No, just the answer to today's jumble clue.
Should I send someone else in?
Huh? Oh, no. Thank you. I'll come over in a minute.
Hope it's no more than that, cutie.
You know who did it.
I know who did it. I also know how they did it. Let's get back to the studio before they realize I figured them out and make a break for it. Then, I have a show to do.
You have a show doing what?
Roberta talked me into filling in as Eddie James, just for today.
You. An actor. Oh, that is the funniest thing I've heard in a long time. I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, me either. Not my idea at all, but as it could be the way that we catch a killer, I'm willing to sacrifice myself.
Sacrifice is right. The roasting you're gonna get, and not just by me.
Yeah. Let's go. I want to try and trick him into confessing, and I think I know just the way to do it.
Okay, people. We have just enough time for a quick rehearsal and a take. Will, just so you know, all the music and sound effects will be put in later. So take a brief pause between your line and someone else's.
Okay.
You can skip the intro for now. Start with the line after the announcer break.
What a day, Susie.
What a day. It's just started, Eddie. And it's a beautiful day. Spring has sprung.
That's the problem. It's too nice to stay inside. If we'd had a case in the past week, I'd say we play hooky and go for a walk in the park. But I'm afraid to leave and miss a phone call.
You've got a point there. The coffers are getting mighty empty.
Of course, I could just solve the case that's right in front of me.
Huh? That's not the line.
You know, Susie, the case of the murder of Russell Banks. Russell Banks was not a nice man. He was a blackmailer, and he used lies to get what he wanted. He needed to be punished, but by due process of the law, not by death, and not without a trial. His murderer didn't think so. His murderer was so afraid of losing their career that they took his. Isn't that right, CJ?
Me? How would I know?
Because you're the one who killed him. You're the only one who could have. I figured it out when I was testing the microphone for you. You unplugged the microphones from the board, then, as you pretended to work on fixing them, you pulled the fuse for the lights. None of the cast, or even John or Roberta, would have thought you were doing anything odd. You're always adjusting things in there. The microphone shorted last week, so they could excuse another problem. With the lights out and everyone afraid to move in the darkness, it was easy for you to sneak in and bash Russ's brains in with a microphone. You're used to being in the dark of that control room, and you knew exactly where he was from your view in that window.
You should be the writer, not these two. That's some story. Too bad you can't prove it.
But I can. You didn't get what you were looking for when you broke into Russ's house. I did. The copy of the blackmail letter he sent you. He was going to report you as a communist if you didn't pay up. Couldn't let him do that. It would mean your career. You were smart to wipe your prints off the microphone, CJ, and drop John's cufflinks who'd be incriminated. But in your panic to escape at Russell's, you cut your hand and left bloody prints all over the windowsill.
I should have thought of that. Russell deserved to pay for what he did. I'm not sorry I killed him, and I'm not going to pay for what I did. You didn't catch me at his house, and you won't catch me now.
That was me who didn't catch you, but I will this time.
Oh, hey! Stop it. Cut it out.
Told you so. Don't ever try to beat the Rubies. You'll never win.
Nice work, Harry. Charles Jeremiah Scott, I'm arresting you for the murder of Russell Banks. And well, look at what just fell out of your pocket, Mr. Scott. Huh. A murder rap may be the least of your worries.
What did you find, Lieutenant?
A star-shaped pin with a hammer and sickle in the middle. You really are red. Let's go.
Jumping Jehoshaphat! That was better than any story you guys wrote, and you're good. What drama!
I hate to agree, but I agree. Harry, you have more guts than most guys I know.
Part of being a Ruby.
Will, your deductions were pure genius. You were right. We never would have noticed CJ doing anything wrong.
Sometimes you have to be on the outside looking in to get the whole picture. Well, I guess we can't finish recording now, though.
Wrong. Roberta and I know how to work the machines. Everyone back to their places. With all of the excitement we just had, this should be our best episode ever.
And that concludes another episode of the Case Files of Eddie James, sponsored by the 4,000 King pharmacies across the country. Find the one near you for all your health and beauty needs. Tune in next week for another thrilling episode.
Oh, Will, you were wonderful.
Yeah, a regular Humphrey Bogart.
I wouldn't go that far, but you were better than some I've heard.
Flame, be nice. For someone who's never acted before, he was darn good.
Better than I thought he would be, I'll admit.
Are you going to keep playing Eddie, Will?
Thank you for the accolades, such as they were. And no, sadly, I'm not, Sadie. Producers of the show have already hired Walter Stone to replace Russ.
Walter Stone? He's one of the best. You can't feel bad about getting replaced by him, Will.
I don't. I don't think I'm cut out for acting anyway.
He's not done with radio, though. John and I are keeping him on as a consultant, both for Eddie James and a new show we're developing, a crime show based on actual cases. I pitched the idea to the network today, and they're very interested.
You should star a female detective. They do exist, you know, and it's about time they're represented.
That thought occurred to me when I saw Harry catch CJ single-handed. I'm going to try and talk the network into it. Maybe as a third show.
Roberta, you sure were right about you and Will starting a friendship. Not sure I'd call it beautiful, though. Not when all you talk about is death.
Oh, Sadie.
This has been another episode of The Adventures of William Ruby, Private Detective, brought to you by Sugar Twinkles Cereal. Sugar Twinkles, they're made with sugar for energy and a fairy dusting of 8 vitamins and minerals to make it twinkly healthy. Grown-ups and kids alike love Sugar Twinkles. Make it part of your breakfast. Tonight's cast included Lauren Baumbauer, Val Kuhns, Mike Luce, Richard Tatum, Raishel Wasserman, and Keith Wright. Cast member Emeritus Helen Allemano. Story by Val Kuhns. Sound patterns by Val Kuhns. This has been a Q Footsteps production.
Walla
Scuffle,
walla
scuffle.
walla. Doodle doodle dee. Wubba wubba wubba.
And she's assisting us.
Let's have this done before summertime, all right?
Any luck, this will be wrapped up by summertime. Not summertime.